This is my reaction to MLB Power Rankings by the Athletics, Jim Bowden. Jim Bowden's big guy for an MLB. He does a lot of ranking stuff. He has the Dodgers at number one, can't argue. Number two, the Yankees. You can make an argument for a team or two, maybe the Phillies or possibly even the Braves. But two's okay. Phillies three, okay. Like I just said, they could be two or three. Number four, Texas Rangers. What? They won the World Series 2 years ago, but what? This team is this team is one injury away from being absolute garbage. DeGrom's back, cool. He hasn't made five starts without getting injured in like 4 years. Like, how are they relying on a 40-year-old DeGrom basically to carry their team? Yeah, that's no, that one's horrible. For Texas Rangers, that's beyond bad. Arizona Diamondbacks at five. I did say I believe they're a sneaky team this year, but number five before the season even starts is ridiculous. I would put them closer to 10. Mets at six. I think that's pretty accurate. I feel like we should be moving up, maybe like the Atlanta Braves in front of them because their team's still very good. Then number seven is the Braves. Yeah, um, I think Braves might be a top five team in my opinion, but I do think seven's okay because they just came off many injuries, and Strider is not going to be starting the year. So that, and they did lose Max Fried. So Acuna Jr. will be playing. I think he's starting off the year right away. So I still think number seven is a little low. I would put him in. I would put him at five or four. Boston Red Sox at eight. I've I agree with this. I agree with this. Maybe if you want to move them to nine or something, but people that are saying that Boston's going to be the fourth best team in AL East is ridiculous. Boston did a lot this offseason. Yes, they overpaid for Alex Bregman, but the Red Sox are one of like the four teams that have stupid money, insane money. So they can get away with that. Plus, every one of their home games is nearly sold out. So guess what? They're going to make their money back. Baltimore Orioles at nine. They lost Corbin Burns, lost Santander. Yes, he was old, but at the same point, he just had a top five MVP season last year in the AL, and you lost him. You lost Corbin Burns, that was number two in Cy Young. So you just lost two extremely good players. And what did you replace with? You didn't do anything in the offseason. Like you just lost a couple of players, and you have a young team, which is good, but I don't believe they're nine. I believe they're somewhere in the 12 range because they could you have to look at the back end of last season. They were a 500 team for 70 games. That's it. And even below 500 maybe. I would have to actually look that up, but at best 500 over the last 70 games. And they were trusting all the young kids. And that was still with Corbin Burns, with Santander. So I would put them at 12, even 13. San Diego Padres 10. They didn't. They're a good roster. There's pieces missing. They're going to get overshadowed by the Dodgers big time. They did well against the Dodgers last year. They had a 2-1 lead and then they lost games 4 and 5 to them in the postseason. This is a team that can compete. I do believe that there's some bad contracts on that team. They did lose a player or two. Um, I think 10 might be accurate. Houston Astros, I absolutely hate the Astros, but I will give credit where it's due. Yes, they lost Kyle Tucker, but they have a young kid, Mr. Brown, over there that, in my opinion, could even win Cy Young. Their pitching staff is actually disgusting, and their bullpen's not too bad. And they still have young hitting. They just, whoever they bring up works. I believe they win their division, so that automatically makes them think they're a top 10 team. And until proven otherwise, they can play in the postseason very well. Like last year, Detroit took them out in two. Okay. Was that a one off or is it actually over for the Astros? We'll see. I would put them at 9. In my opinion, I would have Orioles drop down. I'd put Astros in front of San Diego. 12, Detroit Tigers. I'd move Tigers up to 11. I think I'd move them up just a little bit. They took out the Astros. They gave Cleveland a hell date for 5 games. So I think that when they picked up some pieces, they're got Gleyber Torres. Yes, he's not a great defensive second baseman, but they needed extra hitting. He came around last year and then in the postseason. He definitely has flaws, but guess what? They're not a bad team, well coached. I could put them, honestly, I could get away with putting them in the top 10, in my opinion. Seattle Mariners, pretty accurate. I can see them winning 88 games, be around 13. Pretty accurate. Until their hitting actually shows otherwise, accurate. Great pitching staff, pretty good bullpen. They just can't get the job done. So 13, good. The next two I'm going to do together, Guardians and Kansas City Royals. I do believe they should be back-to-back because they're so similar as teams. Good hitting, not fantastic. Pretty good starting pitching. Damn good bullpen. I'd put them together, but I'd move them up in front of Seattle. And honestly, I would put them behind Detroit. I do believe Detroit's better. Sad thing is, I still think both these teams are better than the Orioles. I really do, but I can't move the Orioles down that far. I can't. So maybe move both of these guys up into 13 and 14 instead of 14 and 15. Cubs at 16, accurate. Not San Diego, sorry. Cincinnati Reds, 17. Wow, they're going straight off of potential on this one. I need them to prove it. They start off each year pretty decent. If you've looked at the last 3 or 4 years, the first 50 games, they're about 500. Maybe a tiny bit above 500. And then they dumpster fire. They get an injury or players start not playing well. They need Ellie De La Cruz to really lower that strikeout rate. He had almost a 40% strikeout rate last year, which is disgusting. As much as he's phenomenal everywhere else, he is fun to watch. Absolutely top 3 most fun player to watch in baseball, in my opinion. But you're going to get your 2 strikeouts a game from him. I would move them down to 23-ish, in my opinion. So they're too high until they prove otherwise. Milwaukee Brewers, 18. I like them up at 18. At first, I was thinking they need to go higher. But they lost Willie Adames. They lost Devin Williams. But they find a way to win games. They find a way to win the division. Consistently. Got a new head coach. Everyone thought they were going to be the worst team in the division, possibly. And they end up winning the division easily. They're like the 3rd team that clinched their division. Insane. So, Milwaukee Brewers, 18. I'll keep them right there. Because, just... Oh, you could cut this, obviously. Milwaukee being 18 is fine. I think because of losing really good players, but also they just find ways to win with whoever's in their lineup. So just keep them at 18 until further notice. 19 is the Toronto Blue Jays. I'd say accurate. Just simple, easy. Don't need to talk too much more about that. Minnesota Twins, 20. Also accurate, but I don't see them getting much higher or lower. They need to make some trades or something. They're a team that doesn't have a lot of money, so they're kind of handcuffed by 1 or 2 contracts. San Francisco Giants. Oh, this is the team that's second place on all free agents. Man, if you think of every free agent in the last like 5 years, the team that's always been in second place has been San Fran. It's almost like you feel bad for them because the teams that have been picking up the guys have been the Yankees, the Phillies, and the Dodgers that didn't go to San Fran. uh, and even the Mets getting Pete Alonso, I thought he was going to end up going to San Fran. Oh, that's funny. 21. I think it's accurate. I could see them being better, but at this moment, 21's fine. 22 for Tampa Bay, kind of the same thing with Milwaukee. They're a team that just finds a way to win. They somehow get to 500 on their bad seasons, and on their good seasons, they get 90 plus, almost 100 wins. In the every other year, the last like 6, 8 years, they've had incredible seasons. 2 years ago, they had, I think they ended up having 100 wins. If not, they were just below 100 wins, and they're second place to the Orioles. Last year, they had about a 500 season. So, in my opinion, I think their over under on wins is like 84, and I'm going to bet the over just because they're every other year tradition. But could they? Do I think 22nd's kind of accurate? Yeah, because their roster's pretty garbage. Pittsburgh's Pirates 23 accurate. Not moving it. Like you can move it up one or two if you or one or two, or move it down one or two if you really want to. But 23 is fine. Washington Nationals 24. Good young team. I think it's accurate for this moment, but I wouldn't be surprised 40 years and 40 not 40 years, Jesus. 40 games into the season, you moving them up to like 20. Ooh, this one hurts my soul. Wow. St. Louis Cardinals at 25. This is the lowest I've ever seen the Cardinals in a power ranking before the season. Ever. Wow, what happened to this historic franchise? People got old, some bad contracts. That team was really old in 2022. And now they're just, all those guys retired or gone. A lot more young players. I think 25 is accurate because it's going to be a fresh lineup. Like people are not going to know who these guys are unless they follow their AAA team. Wow, 25 for Cardinals. We'll just say accurate, but that's kind of upsetting. Athletics at 26. They are a sneaky team. They have some really good players on that team. They have many holes, but a lot of good players. I can see them moving up to, once again, another one that moves up to 20 pretty quickly if things go. Definitely with their division. Their division isn't great. Astros are a good team. Seattle's a wish-wash. You could beat the Seattle Mariners. The Angels are garbage. Like you could win games in this division. And Texas Rangers, it's all depends on when they fall apart and get injured. I'm still going to talk about Texas Rangers being a forest criminal. 27 Angels. They're going to be a 500 team until Trout gets injured, and then they'll be back down to 27th. But yeah, 27th is accurate. And then the bottom three, I don't think we could really argue this much. Rockies at 28, Marlins at 29, 30, Chicago White Sox. Can't argue it at all. Jim Bowden, I will give your power ranking an 8 out of 10. The Texas Ranger one makes me scratch my head very much so. That is disgusting. I really would not have them in the top 10 because they cannot prove me otherwise. Yes, they won the World Series 2 years ago, but they won the World Series with like a 90-win team or 88-win team. So it was not an impressive team, but they just had a great run in the postseason. But they got to make it to the postseason. I don't see it happening. What do you guys think of this list? Let me know who was the biggest pros and cons of this list.